This episode of Warp Factor 10 is brought to you by, well, of course, you. If you want to learn more about how you can support the show, go to patreon.com/thearena_podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome into our first episode of Warp Factor 10, our new series that we discuss all things Star Trek. So I'm your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burly of Burlyman Gaming on Twitch. Yeah, we're both, of course, gamers, but we also love Star Trek. So we decided for Patreon, and then, of course, in early access, and then afterwards goes to our YouTube channel. At the Arena Productions, but we decided to do a new series dedicated to Star Trek. So because we're also Star Trek lovers, we're Trekkies as well. So yeah. So how you doing, Burly? Pretty good?
No, doing good. How are you, Expat?
I'm doing pretty good. And it's funny. I don't know if probably none of you viewers can see this, but in our names, we have while we record this episode, the software. Burly has his name as Locutus. So, so all of you Trekkies know about Locutus of Borg. So anyway, but this episode, it's going to be kind of short. We're going to be just talking about some of our favorite episodes of all time. When did we first start watching Star Trek? Favorite characters, like our favorite villains, and maybe some of our favorite Star Trek movies. And then the next episode we're going to be dedicating, of course, Picard Season 2 has dropped. Episode 1, we're going to be doing our reactions to Episode 1 of Picard. So, yeah. But anyway, I'll start with you, Burly. So tell me, when was the first time you ever watched Star Trek, and what was it that you watched?
It was the original series. I don't know what age, because my dad had a bunch of the episodes on VHS tapes, so we would watch them, and then eventually got on to the movies.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
how about you? When did you start, and with what series?
Oh boy. Because the original series was like 66, 67. So, I mean, I was born in 68. So, probably in the early 70s, the first series I actually watched was the animated series of the original Star Trek. Of course, they were doing reruns by then in the United States. I'm originally from San Francisco. So yeah, back home, we used to get reruns of the original series, obviously. But the very first series I watched was the animated series, because they would show it on Saturdays, like the Saturday cartoons, So like after the regular cartoons of like Warner Brothers, things like that, then they would show Star Trek. And I really, really started to get into it when I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old, and then I jumped over to the original series. So yeah, it was good stuff. Okay, let's talk about our favorite episodes of all time when it comes to Star Trek. I mean, there's a vast amount of, episodes and series over the years of Star Trek. Obviously, the original series, and of course, the movies for the original cast members, and then we had the Next Generation, and then of course, Voyager and Deep Space Nine. And then after that, there was kind of a lull for a while until Enterprise came out. Yeah, and now of course with the newer generation of, the Star Trek films that J.J. Abrams made with you know the original crew, as well as now we have Discovery, and then of course the Lower Decks, the other animated series that they have out. But uh, yeah, my favorite episode of all time, I have to say, was in the fifth season of Next Generation, and it was, uh, for example, Picard had to try to communicate with this race. They're called the Temerians. And the actor who played the captain of the Temerian ship, Paul Winfield, the late great Paul Winfield, he was a great actor, and of course he was in the Wrath of Khan as well for a brief
Oh yeah.
stint in the Wrath of Khan. But anyway, because the reason I loved this episode the most is, of course, I work in education as my day job, right? And of course I deal with history. Of course, was my major, but I teach languages. And the thing about this episode, which was called Darmok, by the way, um, Picard has to communicate with the Temerians, but they could not use universal translators because the Temerians spoke in a metaphorical language. So, based on historical events in their culture. So, what happens is they're on this planet because Picard is forcefully beamed down to this planet to, meet with the captain of this Temerian vessel. And basically, the Temerian wants Picard to work with him to fight this beast, because in their culture there was another story, I think, of a beast that that these people had to come together to fight. And so throughout the episode, Picard starts to figure out, well, these people are speaking in metaphor, and so he actually starts to learn how to communicate with them. And in the episode, of course, a part of Earth culture, and of course of classical literature, of course, the Legend of Gilgamesh. Of course, Picard teaches the captain of the Temerian vessel about the story of Gilgamesh, and they fight this monster. Obviously, the captain of the Temerian vessel dies, but so Picard is able to get back to the Enterprise. But I mean, there Riker, being in command, he couldn't communicate with these people, and the Temerians were getting, they were losing their patience, and of course, their vessel was far superior with weaponry, and they could have just destroyed the Enterprise. But then Picard saves the day, comes on the bridge, and starts to talk in metaphorical language, like Shaka, when the walls fell, to explain the death of the captain as they were working together to fight the beast. And so that, stopped the standoff, and it opened up communications between the Federation and the Temerians for the first time. And that's what I really loved about that episode, is the coming together and actually learning how to communicate with one another. So here on Earth, of course, many people speak many different languages and they can't communicate with each other so much. But we have, as humans, we have that one thing in common, like sign language or other ways to initialize communication. So through metaphor, which was kind of interesting, was a way for them to actually come together and be able to communicate. So that's my favorite episode of all time in Star Trek, from Star Trek: The Next Generation, season 5. So Burley, what about you? What was your favorite Star Trek episode of all time?
Mine is no surprise, especially when you read out the name that I picked in
Locutus
here for.
aboard. Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm going with the good old two-parter, Best of Both Worlds, from
Okay.
Next Gen, the end of season 3 and the beginning of season 4.
Right.
It's just got you've got the Borg back, which are they're one of the best villains of Star Trek.
Right.
and I love them a lot. And you've just got the great relationships and everyone really working. Like when Picard gets assimilated, you've got Riker in the seat, but he's not ready, and
Right.
he's trying to work with everyone and figure a way, and they're doing everything they can and trying to find different strategies.
Yeah.
It's just like great science fiction writing, which I like.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and it's interesting because we were talking about we're going to be doing the reaction video to Picard season 1, and obviously in or
Mhm.
Picard season 2 episode 1. And the thing about Picard season 2, of course, a fan favorite from Next Generation is coming back. Q, of course, and Q is obviously the catalyst to introducing the Federation to the Borg.
Oh yes.
So yeah, I mean, before that episode, obviously he transports him like way into the far reaches where the Borg are, and that's what kind of was the catalyst to that episode, later on. So yeah,
Oh
it was
yeah,
great stuff.
that is another good one. Like
Yeah.
uh, Next Gen is not my favorite series, but that two parter, that is a two parter I can just throw on anytime. And I do like that episode where Q, the introduction of Q, where he transports them to the Borg and says, "You can't outrun them. They are relentless. They
Right,
have to
right.
they have to find a way to deal with it."
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, Picard saying to Q, it's like we're ready to, that's why we're out here. We're ready to meet other civilizations, and Q is like, no, you're not.
None.
you know, there, yeah. So, but another episode, since we're kind of sticking to Next
Mhm.
Generation here, but the Yesterday's Enterprise was another great one too, because we never, before that episode, we never got a chance to see the Enterprise C and its captain and its crew, and so that was a cool episode. And of course, Denise Crosby making a return to the series. That was really cool.
Oh,
So I really loved that episode as well. Okay, Burley, let's talk about villains.
oh,
I think you're going to agree with me who my favorite villain is. Obviously, I was a big fan of Deep Space Nine. And actually, the character, Gul Dukat. I mean,
oh
this
yeah,
this guy, I
yeah. I
loved Gul
agree.
Dukat. I mean, yeah, he was sinister, man. I mean, in every way, shape, and form. And actually, the actor, I think Mark Iliamo, I think was his name. He was actually he played a different Cardassian character in Next Generation, but then he came back to play Gul Dukat in Deep Space Nine. And boy, oh boy, was he ever the villain, and was he ever the kind of the thorn in Cisco's side throughout that whole series. It's like he would always tease Cisco. It's like, how do you like my old office? It's like there, and it's like Cisco. He's got the baseball, and everything. And no, that was. I mean, he was a great character. What do you think, man?
Oh yeah, and he was a villain. Make no mistakes, he was a villain. But you got all the different sides with him. Like you got when you had the one with it where it was revealed he had a daughter with a Bajoran woman.
Right, right.
I'm blanking on her name, but
Yeah, I don't remember
she
either.
got a little of that, and you got a lot of different sides to him. Like one of my favorite episodes with him of Deep Space Nine. I'm blanking on the name. It's where him and Cisco are trapped on the one planet
Right,
because
right.
Gul Dukat is going to trial,
Mm-hmm.
and you see his inner monologues, and you see all the different characters. The one character of the Jem Dudar and Kira playing as
Yeah.
different parts of his conscience,
Uh-huh.
just telling him, I should have killed them all. I should have killed them all. Would have been
Yeah.
better than them suffering all the Bajorans.
Yeah. Another great
Cisco knocking
character.
him out.
Yeah, another great character. He wasn't a villain. I mean, but I mean, he was kind of like a villain in the past, but he ended up kind of, being an ally to Cisco and the others. Garrick, you remember
Oh,
Garrick the tailor? Oh yeah, yeah. He was. Yeah, because he was actually a spy, before. So yeah, I loved his character, of course, and Andy Robinson. Yeah, he's a great actor, of course, from the '70s and the Dirty Harry movie. Yeah, so great
Oh,
stuff, man. Yeah, yeah,
I loved I loved him, and I love one of the episodes where they learn because they don't want to bomb Cardassia
yeah.
because the whole war with the Jem'Hadar
Right.
and everything. So what they use, they know Garrick's a tailor, and they know he's more than just a tailor, and he's a
Yeah,
spy. But
yeah,
all the time, I'm just a simple tailor. I'm just a simple tailor, and then
yeah,
they
yeah,
have him come into. I think it was just get sizing for one of Cisco's promotional vests or something like that, and
yeah.
they have him overhear their plans a little, and he goes, "Oh,
Right,
I'll be back," and goes straight
right.
to go talk to Cardassia. He's like, "I'm going to save your lives," and they're like, "You simple tailor, you."
Yeah. Yeah, and of course Quark, the yeah, the kind of the bar establishment guy, the Ferengi. Yeah, he was pretty cool too. I there sometimes I liked him, sometimes I hated him, but he was like the typical like 21st century type of gambling establishment type of
Oh,
personality, being in the like in the 23rd 24th century type of sense, but yeah. Okay, Burley, let's move on
I
to
was going
the
to say one character I'd like to make mention from Deep
yeah,
Space
go
Nine
for it.
that is a
Hmm.
side character. I think has
Yeah.
one of the best arcs ever. Is Quark's nephew Nog.
Nog, yes, yes, definitely.
One
Yes.
of my favorite scenes of all time is when he goes to Cisco and says he wants to join Starfleet,
Yeah.
and Cisco is testing him, and he's just like, I don't want to end up like my father. He's like, my
Yeah.
father's a mechanical genius, but he doesn't have the lobes to be a Ferengi, to
Yeah.
be a businessman. And he's like,
Right.
he wants to get out of it. He wants to prove himself, and
Right.
his journey of going and joining Starfleet Command and all that. It was just
Right.
like I love that little journey and that little arc.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, let's get to the movies. I think there's probably of the movies, one of my favorites obviously is Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. And it kind of hits it does hit close to home for me because it was filmed in my home city of San Francisco, and I just loved the backdrop, and going to the past to save the future because of that probe that was in space. It was you know
Oh, the disco
the,
lug.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So going back, and then of course getting a couple of whales from the past, because at that time the whales had been extinct for for a long time. So bringing back the whales and actually going like on a Klingon warbird
Oh
so
yeah.
into San Francisco, and of course having to be cloaked, and meeting the oceanographer and all, and then of course Scotty going into the plastics factory, and talking about transparent aluminum and everything, and and then McCoy in the hospital, with 20th century medical procedures, which he of course referred to as being the dark ages of medicine. I mean, just all of that, the future meeting the past and all. I just love that film. And then one other honorable mention, I think, would be First Contact with the Next Generation crew, where
Yeah.
they, of course, another time travel, going back to the past, and meeting Zephyrin Cochrane, and helping him to be able to get that first flight going, and stopping the Borg from assimilating the past. I mean, that was a great film, and seeing First Contact and all at the end there between humans and Vulcans. So yeah, those are probably my two favorite of the movies. How about for you?
Four was one I really watched a lot with kid as a kid. I really do like that, and I think that was the second one to be directed by Nimoy, if I'm not mistaken, because I know he
Hmm.
did three as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
But favorite, no shock in the Star Trek community, Wrath of Khan.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
that's a great one
you,
too. Yeah, yeah.
you've
Good
got
old
one of the
Ricardo
best.
Montalban. Yeah.
Bringing him back, bring back one of the best villains, and just
Yes.
it was just a great
I
film.
just love that. I just love how he yelled, "This is City Alpha 5!" It's like, how he just, I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, just yeah, and then the battles, the space battle there. It's just that was so
and,
cool, yeah.
and they never have you never get that moment on you don't get them face to face, him and Kirk, but they I just love the lines back and forth. I shall leave you as you left me
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. The Vengeful Khan. Yes. That was really cool. So,
Another one of my favorites, I'd probably go 3, Search for Spock.
okay. hmm
I
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
You got good old Christopher Lee uh, uh, as the Klingon. I can't remember the name. That's
Oh, you mean Christopher Lloyd?
like Christopher
Yes.
Lloyd. I don't know why I said Christopher Lee because it was screwing me up in my head. I'm like, wait a
You're
minute, I said
starting
the
to think
wrong.
Star Trek. Yeah, you're starting to you're
Yeah,
starting to think of Dooku. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then you've got the whole thing with Kirk's son in that movie, and just
Yeah.
bring Spock back in an interesting kind of way. They bring him back. So
Yeah, those are good films, man. Okay, so I think we're gonna stop it here for our launch episode of Warp Factor 10, our new Star Trek series, here on Patreon. Of course, you can get it for the first couple of days in early access and ad free here on Patreon, patreon.com/the arena_podcast, and then obviously it goes public after 2 days, and it will go to our YouTube channel at the Arena Productions. So. Welcome all of you to Warp Factor 10, and we hope to catch you in the next one where we're going to be talking about Picard Season 2, Episode 1. We'll be giving our reactions to that episode. So I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-host, Burlyman Gaming on Twitch. So thank you for watching Warp Factor 10, our launch episode. We hope to catch you in the next one. So take care, everyone.
take care.
Peace out, and live long and prosper. Yes. Take care.
All hail the Empire.